kitchen. So many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.
Hello and welcome to the March show of So Many Cooks in the Kitchen. My name is Dilla Barman. I'm in North Carolina. Welcome. Many of you have been watching us month after month. We've been doing this show for 5.5 years, almost 6 years. And we're all Physicians Committee Food for Life instructors. We teach classes that show you how to use food as medicine, how to keep us healthy. We have classes for diabetes, how to use food, healthy, whole food, plant-based vegan food. If you do have diabetes, to help with managing diabetes. We have a class on cancer. We have a class on coming to a healthy body weight. We have classes for kids. We have lots of classes. We have class for athletes. We have Spanish-speaking classes. So I encourage you to go to fflclasses.org, pcrm.org, and look for a Food for Life instructor near you. Some instructors do online classes. So at the beginning of the pandemic, a number of Food for Life instructors said, let's meet online, and we've kept doing it. We go kitchen to kitchen. I'm in North Carolina, and I think today, after my segment, I'm going to pass it on to Janin Orhun. She's in Dubai. She's in Abu Dhabi. And she is going to be making a soup, and then we'll go from there. So it's kitchen to kitchen. So again, if you're new, welcome. If you've been watching us for a long time, welcome back. Today's show is called Many of Grandma's Favorite Dishes. And what we thought we would do with this show is reinvent some traditional dishes that we know of. There's a lot of wisdom in the way our grandparents and beyond made foods, the way our parents did. But we thought we could tweak some of these dishes and make them a little healthier. Today I'm going to be making, I've already made it, and here it is. My wife's about to eat this. This is called Kitchedi. Now, I grew up with my mom making this often, and she called it, I heard it as Kitcheri, K-I-C-H-E-R-I. But I believe the official pronunciation is Kitchedi with a D. Of course, these are Indian words that have been translated. So forgive me if I say Kitcheri and your Indian friends say Kitchedi. So whether it's Kitcheri or Kitchedi, this is a comfort food in India. And it's traditionally made with white rice, but I make it with brown rice. And I also, something different about my Kitchedi is there's potatoes and sometimes peas. That's what my mom would do. If you go to a restaurant, Kitchedi isn't common in restaurants for whatever reason, but any Indian family is going to make Kitchedi. And if you go to an Indian family's house, they're going to offer Kitchedi. They probably won't offer to you as a guest. It's considered, like when you're sick, it's a comfort food. The Kitchedi is made with white rice and with lentils and various spices, but not with potatoes. I've never seen anybody make it with potatoes except my mom. So this is the dish. I decided to show you the complete dish because cooking would take a long time and it wouldn't be suitable for the show. So the way you make it is you start with brown rice, and here's the brown rice, and you want to soak it overnight. A lot of rice has traces of arsenic, so we recommend not eating rice commonly. Don't eat it every day, maybe once a week or less often. What you want to do to reduce the chance of arsenic is you want to soak it and keep decanting the water. What I do is I soak it overnight. When I wake up, I get rid of the water, I soak it again, and a couple of times a day I get rid of the water, and then I cook it. Now, I usually cook rice in a pot, but this dish, for convenience, is going to be done in an Instant Pot, in a pressure cooker. I don't know if you can see it behind me, my Instant Pot. So you want to soak the rice overnight. You're going to use something called moong dal, which is a split yellow lentils. And I'll show you, you can find this at a lot of good grocery stores. Any Indian grocery store will have it it looks like this. So moong dal, and Indian groceries aren't always the best at organic, but we have a store nearby where there are organic selections. We prefer organic. So you're going to need this. Get this at many stores. You can get this online. Any Indian store will have it, maybe not organic. Okay? And then you're going to need a variety of spices. One interesting spice is called hing. It can be spelled H-I-N-G or H-E-I-N-G. It's also called asafoetida powder, but that's hard to pronounce. Now, my mom would use this because a number of people in India, not that many people, but Jains, which is an old religion, it's the oldest religion in the world, don't eat root vegetables. When you eat the potato, which I have here, or an onion or garlic, you're killing the plant. My mom, for a variety of reasons, didn't eat onions or garlic. And, I love onions and garlic, but this dish doesn't have any in it. If I ever had a kitchedi which had onions or garlic, it would taste odd to me. So instead of garlic or onions, my mom would put asafoetida powder. So most of these Ayurvedic herbs and seasonings have a lot of beneficial qualities. Off the top of my head, I can't remember why asafoetida powder is good for you, but if you use it, it's often used instead of garlic. It has a strong flavor. Use a tiny bit. Use a pinch. If you put too much, it's bitter. So a little asafoetida powder. If you don't have it, skip it. You don't have to go and shop for this. You want a ginger. I forgot to pull out a ginger. I peel the ginger skin, and then I chop it finely. So you need some ginger, a little bit of salt. You want to use cumin seeds. Now, in an Indian kitchen, you're going to have a set of spices. It's called a dibba, a spice box. And we're going to use some turmeric, which is down here. We're going to use some cumin seeds, but when my mom was alive, she often used something called ajwain, and I have some ajwain. I should have pulled it out. But we use cumin seeds, not ground, but whole cumin seeds. This, by the way, is kala namak, black salt. This is mustard seed. And here are some sesame seeds. But we're going to be using cumin seed and turmeric. And again, I'm not making the dish. I've already made it because it'll take a long time. It also calls, the way my mom makes it, for some potato. I have a baked potato. I have a russet potato. And what I do is I peel the potato and then I chop it. It also calls, the way my mom makes it, optionally for some frozen peas. Some lemon juice. I love Meyer lemons. You can use lime lemon or Meyer lemon. At the end, optionally, we can top it with pickles and also with cilantro leaves. We call this dhania in Hindi. So the pickle is not the healthiest choice. It does have a little bit of oil and it has salt, but you're using a tiny bit of it. If you look at my bowl, it's just an accent, right? It's very, very little. So if you want that flavor, then you can buy these bottles, $4 or $5, and they last forever. So optional, you don't have to have them, okay? And this is what we do. You drain the rice, and then you add it to the Instant Pot along with the dal, the lentils, the ginger, the diced ginger, the hing, if you're using it, a little bit of salt, turmeric, cumin, and if you want, you can put some chopped jalapeno or chili. In Indian cuisine, jalapeno isn't used. We use like the serrano pepper, but suit yourself. I skip it. My daughter doesn't like hot food. And then you cook it. There's a couple choices. You cook it for 18 minutes. When the pressure reduces, you put your chopped potato in and add a little bit more water if the rice is sticking at the bottom, and then cook it for 2 more minutes under pressure. Now be careful, because especially in that second 2-minute cook, you might get a message from the Instant Pot. It'll stop. It'll say the food is getting too hot. So add plenty of water, because when you store it, you won't even be able to tell there was that much water. Or you can separately boil your potatoes for 5 minutes, and then when you're done with the kitchedi, with the rest of the ingredients, just mix it in. That's probably a better way to do it. Or forget about the pressure altogether, just do it stovetop. And I'll include the recipe for a stovetop in the recipe document. It is there in this recipe document. When you're done, reduce the pressure, and then mix in the peas, frozen peas if you're using peas, and let it sit for 4 or 5 minutes just to make sure the peas are well cooked. And that's it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to serve it in a bowl, optionally with some pickle. If you have some vegan yogurt, you can put some yogurt in. I usually don't. And then if you want, you can put some of the cilantro leaves, and that's it. It's tasty. I actually already tried it. It's a very nice dish. For a lot of Indian people, it's a comfort food. And show off to your Indian friends that you have some potatoes in it. It's my mom's touch, and I love the potatoes. I think it adds a nice texture. If you don't use the potatoes, it's a little bit more homogeneous. When my daughter doesn't feel well, and especially if I'm not home, my wife will often make kitchedi, and my wife will make it with white rice. That's how it's traditionally made. But I think this dish with brown rice takes a little longer to cook, and I think it tastes just like it is with white rice. So I see no reason not to use brown rice. So I didn't cook it. It would take too long, but I've made it. I hope that was fun. I hope you guys will try it. Please let us know if you tried this. And by the way, ask questions. I'm going to need a few minutes to clean up before I'm sitting in front of the computer, but my colleagues are there. And ask questions anytime. And at the end, we're going to have a formal Q&A period. And at that point, if you ask questions, you'll be in the drawing for some giveaways. So look forward to hearing what your questions are. And next, I'm going to pass it on to Janan Orhun. She is in Abu Dhabi. She's going to be making a soup of some kind. So I think that's what she's making. So enjoy many of Grandma's favorite dishes. Take it away, Janan.
Hi everybody, greetings from Kuala Lumpur where I'm stuck. Dilip, that was a great show. I'm stuck here because of the war in the Gulf area, the unnecessary, if any war can be necessary anyways, but this really horrible war that they've started, which is causing a lot of trouble all over the Gulf area. We have been stuck here in Kuala Lumpur, luckily in a beautiful country, but we are also anxious to get home to Abu Dhabi, to our home and to our friends and our families. Many people are stranded, sort of sticky situation. We worry about our friends and families who are being bombed, and we feel bad for being stuck here. Anyway, I hope to be back in Abu Dhabi soon, joining the shows and sharing some wonderful recipes. In the meantime, greetings back again from Kuala Lumpur, and safe days and peace to everybody. May we have world peace soon. Bye.
Hello. Hey, Jonan. I hope that you guys are staying safe and can get back home soon. So we miss you, and maybe you can get back home and cook with us next month, hopefully. But safe travels and take care of yourselves, okay? All right. Well, thanks you guys for joining us today. My name is Cody Stubbe. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. And today I'm going to make a favorite cornbread recipe. And it's been a while since I've actually made this recipe. So I've had to do a little tweaking from the original, of course, to make it veganized, a healthier version of the original one. So let's get started. So first, I'm going to add some cornmeal. We're going to put all of our dry ingredients together in one bowl. So we have that, and then we're going to add a little bit of baking soda. Just about a teaspoon here. And some baking powder. This will help to keep it kind of on the fluffier side. As fluffy as cornbread to be anyway, right? All right, and then we're going to add a little bit of salt. Maybe just like a half a teaspoon. Not much. Going to mix it up well here. Sometimes I just use a fork. It works pretty well. All right, that looks great. So we got our dry stuff. Now we're going to mix our wet ingredients. And I'm going to start off with about All right, so we're going to take about 1 cup of your plant-based milk, and we're going to add to it about a half a cup of filtered water. There we go. And then we're going to add about 1/4 a cup of applesauce. All right. And then I'm going to add in just a little bit of vegan butter. You can cut down the amount of vegan butter and oil by adding more applesauce to it if you'd like. All right. Making sure I'm getting everything. Oh, and a great ingredient to add to this is flaxseed meal. So this is just ground flax seeds. And if you watched last month, I believe let's see, what did I make? I can't remember what I made last month, but I used flax seeds in it. And it's a good source of omega-3s. So that's good for your heart. Oh, it's for the Heart Health Month to help reduce inflammation and blood pressure. And it's just a wonderful ingredient to add. So a wonderful source of omega-3 fatty acids. So you just take them, you buy them usually whole if you can, or you can buy the meal too, but I like to grind my own. And then I just put them in like a blender, and it just makes it into like a little flour. And then it looks like this. I keep mine in a little baggie. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add about a tablespoon of that to your wet ingredients. And this is going to help kind of make it that kind of stretchy, kind of eggy consistency. You're essentially kind of making a flax egg. You could do this in its own little cup with like a tablespoon of that flax meal and then like 2 tablespoons of filtered water, and then mix it. And when it sits there, it's kind of get stretchy, a little bit gooey, and then you can dump it in here. I kind of just save a step and just dump it right into my wet ingredients and mix it up well. All right, got everything there. Now, since most people like to put a little bit of maple syrup on their cornbread when we're done, I'm not going to add any sweetener to this. You can if you decide that this needs a little bit after you cook it. You're like, I think I want a little bit of sweetness in there. You could add like maybe 4 tablespoons of maple syrup to this as well to add it to bake. But keep that in mind. It's going to be more wet ingredients and may need to take a little bit longer in the oven to cook. Okay. And I would have my oven going at 375. This is going to cook for about 20 minutes. You kind of want to watch it. Okay. So I'm going to add my wet ingredients into my dry. And then I'm just going to mix it thoroughly. And living in Nebraska, you know, corn is the staple here. Most of what we grow around here is for agriculture, but we do, of course, eat a lot of corn, a lot of sweet corn. That's grown for human consumption, of course. It's different than what we grow for cows. So, all right, you just mix it thoroughly. And it's going to be kind of sloppy. That's okay, because it's going to kind of absorb a little bit into the cornmeal, and then it's going to bake. So I'm going to take our pan. Now, what I've done is I've just done a little bit of vegetable spray in here. But what you could also do is take a piece of like parchment paper, and to get it in there nicely, sometimes you kind of have to like crumple it up and lay it flat, crumple up and lay it flat. And then you can lay it in there, and it should hopefully kind of hold that form pretty well. And also, once you start putting this in there, it will kind of spread out to the edges, and then your paper will stay more like where you want it. So we will just go ahead and dump that in there. Okay. And then we're just going to spread it out to the edges. I know my girls like cornbread. There we go. Okay. So just edge to edge like that. We're going to put this in the oven, like I said, about 375 for about 20 minutes, kind of watching it. And when it comes out, it's going to look like this. So nice and golden brown on top. And the inside is going to be a little bit moist. The top's going to have kind of a crust on it, but the inside should hopefully be moist enough for you. All right. And then I had to cut a piece, of course. So here's my little piece of cornbread. I'm going to put just a little bit of maple syrup. There we go. All right, now this would go great with like a white bean soup. Like growing up, that's what we used to eat. It was back then, it was like pork and bean soup. But of course, we're gonna not have the pork. So we can have like a white bean soup with this, which would be really good, a nice savory soup, and then have this on the side. That's great. That maple syrup really complements the cornbread perfectly. And like I said, you don't need much. It's going to absorb into that cornbread and even make it softer. So this is a great little addition. If you're ever looking for a nice cornbread recipe, please give it a try. Tell me what you think. And like I said, you can totally cut down any of that vegan butter and just substitute for maybe a little bit more applesauce in there. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. I hope you try it. I hope you'll like it. I'm going to send it over. I think Shobha is next. So take it away. See ya.
Thank you. I hope I'm live. I'm Shobha Swami from Atlanta and one of the Food for Life instructors. I've been a Food for Life instructor since 2017. And today I'm going to be making my grandmother's recipe, which is called Kheer back home in India, or in the south of India, the same thing is called payasam. And it is very similar to what we call pudding back here, like something like a rice pudding, imagine. So it's sweet and it's got a little bit of a creamy texture, and you can spoon it, or sometimes if it's thin enough, you can drink it in a little cup. So today I'm going to be making poppy seed kheer or payasam. That's my grandmother's favorite and all our favorite growing up. And this is made specifically for festivals, and specifically the New Year festival that's coming up on the 14th of April. This is what we make. And it's cherished by everybody, young and old. And it's really a nice, creamy pudding to have. So let's start making this. And as I mentioned, it's called poppy seed kheer or payasam. So we'll be using white poppy seeds available at the Indian grocery store. And to begin with, we'll start with a garnish when the pan is hot. So we heat up the pan, and then I've got little pieces of cashew here that go as garnish on top of the pudding. So I'll be roasting that for a few seconds and make sure they're just tiny white spots. Traditionally, this is roasted in ghee. But as you all know, we are Food for Life instructors using food as medicine. And so we've stayed away from animal products and dairy as well. So we will not be using ghee. We will be dry roasting these cashews today. And I'm going to, as they get little brown spots, I'm going to put them away in a little bowl for garnish at the very end. So now the main ingredient, the star of the show, is poppy seeds, and they're white poppy seeds and light brown in color when you buy it at the grocery store. So once the pan is hot, make sure that it's not too hot, medium, high, and drop in all the poppy seeds, which is about 1/4 cup. So, and it doesn't take too long. They're even smaller than sesame seeds, these poppy seeds, even smaller than the black poppy seeds. So roast them for just a little bit, make sure it's uniform, and you keep moving it around in the pan. So once it's ready, we move it to a plate and set it aside. Now we have roasted poppy seeds. And what else do we have to roast? Now that this pan is hot, I'm going to put dates. We're using dates as sweetener. And as we mentioned, we're trying to use as unprocessed as we possibly can. And so to sweeten this, traditionally, we use jaggery back home in India. But here today, I'm going to be using whole dried fruit and nothing but the fruit, which is dates. And so I'm going to put about half a cup of dates and adjust the dates to your liking. And then a couple of pods of cardamom, the green pods of cardamom, whole pods, just so they get roasted. And now that the pan is hot, I've turned off the stove and I'm going to just let it sit here for a few minutes till the dates soften just a little bit. I also have coconut, dry desiccated coconut, or you can use frozen coconut from your grocery store. Either way, it's the same thing. So I'm going to add this in a corner here of the pan. So those get lightly roasted as well. We don't want them to brown or anything, but we just want them roasted. So I'll put it in the other half of the pan and make sure that it's roasting and just lightly toasted. And I leave that aside. And once for about 10 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes, in lieu of time today, I have transferred all of this into a Vitamix. And all you need to do is blend it until very, very smooth. That's the very key. And poppy seeds traditionally become really creamy as you blend them. And we use them not only in this kind of a sweet dish, a dessert, or a pudding, but we also sometimes use it to make Indian korma, where we have a bunch of vegetables and we make a gravy with poppy seeds and onion and tomatoes and garlic perhaps, and then add it to the vegetables to give it a nice creamy texture. So let's just finish blending this and blend it until very smooth. And transfer to a pan, bring to boil, and basically when you're ready to serve, you can serve this cold or hot, either way. And when you're ready to serve, you'll garnish it with these small pieces of toasted cashews, and your kheer is ready. Kheer or pudding, whatever you may call it, is ready. So I'll transfer it to a pan here, bring it to a very light boil, and that's about it. So this is enjoyed by young and old alike. Try this out. This might be something new for the flavors that you've never tried before. Poppy seed and coconut and cardamom pods and sweetened with dates. So make this often and enjoy. Now, I think Janlyn is sick is what I heard from Dilip. So we're going to pass it over to Dilip.
Hi, thanks, Shobha.
Sit back and do the Q&A now, right?
Yep. Do you need a second, or are you ready to do Q&A from there? Do you need to sit down?
Yeah, ready to Q&A from
there. Excellent. Thank you. Kheer is one thing that I have great childhood memories of from my mom, so I have some questions for you. But welcome back, everybody. I'm so glad you were watching. I'm so sorry that Carolyn's not feeling well. She has such a nice recipe, as she always does. So, but she did post the recipe. She sent it in a couple days ago. And just this last night, she said, Dilip, I'm not feeling so well. And we were keeping our fingers crossed that she could at least join and say hello and cough, 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 hello. But she's not feeling well. So we wish Carolyn a speedy recovery. And more importantly, Janan, we felt so badly. She was coming after me, and then we didn't realize that she's stuck. So we wish peace to you as well, and peaceful return to Abu Dhabi. This, I think, is the first show that Janan has ever missed. So welcome, everybody. And we're here to take questions. Some really good questions came up. I know there was one question about pickles, and I can cover that if you'd like. I think I responded to that, but if you want to post it, any questions that come on from this point on will be in our drawing. We have 3 lovely giveaways. Shobha, since you're in your kitchen, can you hold up I'm sure you have a spice dibba. I'm 100% sure you do. You probably have 10 spice dibbas. Can you hold up a spice dibba?
I'll show you mine, yeah.
I've been in Shobha's, and I use plural, Shobha's kitchens. when I visited Atlanta last. She has the most amazing, especially your downstairs kitchen is amazing.
Yeah, that's where I am. So here's my spice dabba. It's out for a wash. So basically, it's a small round container with little cups in there for the different spices, and we have a plate that separates so that things don't get mixed up together. And then we put red chilies in this. So this is my mother-in-law's spice dabba, handed over to me. So I cherish it, and it reminds us of her, and love to use it.
You know, it's strange because my mom and dad both passed away. I miss them. I think that's where I got my love of cooking from my mom, not my dad. He didn't cook at all, but I don't think I got my mom's spice. I don't remember what happened to it, but I already had one. So I think this is Angelita. It's good to see you on the show, Angelita. We'd love for you to be back with us. So Angelita, I'm going to add you as the first person asking a question. And so you're in the drawing for a prize. So Angelita asks, where can I purchase the spice container? Do the spices stay fresh? And I'll put my answer, and then Shobha can share her view too. It's just Shobha and me for Q&A, so we'll have a totally Indian American perspective on the Q&A today. So
Yeah.
Angelita, these are easy to find in any Indian grocery store, and they're really cheap. They're surprisingly cheap. You can get a small spice dipper for $12, $15 or something ridiculous like that, and a big one for, I don't know, 30, 25, something like that. You can get them online. I haven't seen them outside of Indian stores. And so if you don't have an Indian grocery store in your area, then look online, maybe at Amazon. Amazon sells it. But my Indian store sells it. And yeah, the spices stay fresh because you put the top on it. And there's two choices you have on spice dippers. You can get yours, I think, is a stainless top. We have, my old one had a stainless top. My mom's had a stainless top. My top is actually see-through. It's glass on top with stainless on the sides. Shobha, what do you have a different view? I find the spices stay fresh. They're dried already anyhow, and it's sealed. It leaves the air out. So I find, the spices stay really fresh. What would you say, Shobha?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think you can get these online as well, Dilip.
Yes.
Nowadays, you get really nice, pretty fancy ones, wooden ones, square ones.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, square ones with 3x3, so there are 9 squares in there. So there are a lot of nice, pretty ones with a glass top. So
I would have to look at the wooden ones. I love wood, but in this application, tell me if you feel differently. I don't like the idea of wood because wood absorbs flavors and also colors like turmeric. So yes. I think if I used a wooden one, I wouldn't, turmeric stains, I would not put turmeric in it, or I would know that compartment's always yellow.
Yes. Correct. I agree with you.
Bunch of good questions. This is a question for you by Janet Doe. So I'll write her name down. You're number 2 in the drawing. So Janet Doe asks, can you use regular black poppy seeds for the pudding?
Yes, I'm sure you can. I mean, I've never made it, and this is a traditional Indian recipe, so I'm sure you can use black poppy seeds as well.
I wanted to also throw this out there is we write, and I'm sure, Shobha, you're the same way, we write our recipes down, but that's not how I cook. I just
exactly.
And I think that's true, not just in the Indian population, but in some other population. It's in the Indian population, my mom didn't write any recipes down, and people would say, wherever we lived, we were early immigrants to the United States. My parents came in 1960. And there was less than 13,000 South Asians in America. My mom and dad were real pioneers. So all these Indian foods many people are familiar with, nobody knew about it at that point. And so she was in the newspaper in small town Ohio, for example, and they'd say, how do you make that dish? What's a samosa? How do you make that? And so she would very carefully, write some recipes. But, in terms of that question, I think generally we kind of just go at it. Like if we have a recipe for kala namak, black salt, you don't have it, just use regular salt. If you don't have black sesame seeds, use white sesame seeds. There are differences, and I think your question is a good one because especially with spicing, it can change the flavor. For example, cumin. Cumin is something we use a lot in Indian cooking and in Mexican and other cooking, and the flavor is different if you use the entire cumin or you do ground cumin. Now, if you do ground cumin and you do it by hand in a mortar and pestle, it smells great. You release all the aromas. It's a really fresh way to use. And by the way, there's my mom's picture right there. So thanks to my mom for teaching me a bunch about spices and cooking and all. She never really taught me to cook, but because I was, at home, she almost never ate out. My mom was not just, well, she wasn't a vegan, unfortunately, and that's why I think she passed away when she did. She had lots of dairy products, but she was a lifelong vegetarian, and she didn't eat onions or garlic, and that contributed to our rarely eating out. Because it's easy as a vegetarian or a vegan, it's very easy eating out. My daughter and I had pizza yesterday, very easy. But if you say no onions or garlic, it is actually kind of hard because there's onions and garlic in lots of things. So that's why I don't think we didn't eat out very much. Okay, let's go to some more questions. Thank you, Angelita. Okay, question from Janet Doe. I was wondering if the spices transferred flavors. They don't, because each of those katoris, these little metal containers, segregate each other, right? So they're little metal containers. They don't talk or touch each other, and then there's a top. So I've never noticed any transfer of flavors. I always cover the dibba in between, so no transfer of flavors that I've found. Okay. Let's see. Here's a question from another from Janet Doe. What does cardamom taste like? Cardamom has a nice earthy flavor. You have like a dried peel on the outside. Inside there's like these black seeds. And it's a great mouth refresher. My mom used to, after dinner, sometimes just give us the cardamom. You'd bite it lightly just to let your saliva flow through the cardamom and through the seeds. And then you got this nice, kind of like chewing gum, I guess, get a flavor. But you can probably do a better job than I can, Shobha. What does cardamom taste like?
It has a very, I wouldn't say a strong flavor, but a very pronounced flavor. And typically, I've not found anybody who doesn't like the cardamom flavor. Yeah. Nowadays, it's definitely used in chai. So if you love chai, you would love cardamom because it's used in chai. And there are ice cream flavors as well. My daughters love the cardamom ice cream that's available in Whole Foods or one of these, specialty stores as well. And you will really love it. You can probably compare it to cloves, though it has its own distinct flavor.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree with you. That would be something comparable. Hyacinth, good to see you, Hyacinth. I'm going to write your name down, so you're the third person in the drawing. So Hyacinth asks, can you use jasmine rice? Yeah, you can. As I recall, Hyacinth, because you're a regular, you're in the Caribbean, as I recall, and so you may, a lot of Caribbean dishes use different kinds of rice. So jasmine rice would be fine in Kitchedi. It would taste different. Kitchedi is nice to have a kind of a stout, a thicker grain, but it'd be fine with jasmine rice. I think it'd be a little more delicate. So I think it would be fine. Thanks for asking that. Okay, here's a question from Meryl. Hi, Meryl. Good to see you. We know you. So Meryl, neither of you mentioned this, but what was your family's favorite version of masala chai? So I'll answer first, and then I think Shobha's answer is probably going to be very similar. My mom was not a vegan. Now, the Indian population in America or in India suffers from tremendous rates of diabetes and heart disease. And the reason is, yeah, a lot of Indians are vegetarian, not all, but a lot of them are, but they're not vegan. And the problem is more than meat actually is dairy. And there's a tremendous dairy consumption. The Indians make the American consumption of dairy look like, junior league or something, right? And so many Indian people have heart disease, and it's because of the dairy they're consuming, right? Don't take either one. And Shobha, correct me if you feel differently. Don't take either one. Don't say Dilip's asking you to, to eat meat. I am not. Do not eat meat. But if you had a choice, you had to eat meat or drink cow's milk. From a health point of view and from an ethics point of view, you're better off eating meat. But do not eat meat. I don't recommend eating meat. But the health outcomes are not good for dairy. We evolved over eons to, in a time of a famine, if you look at our digestive system, it's very similar to that of an herbivore, but we did evolve to become omnivores. If we have to, we can eat meat. We never evolved to take dairy, and that's the problem. And so, to answer your question, and I'll give you a chance too, Shobha. My mom loved masala chai. In fact, she was addicted to masala chai. That's the reason I've tried to stay away from things that would addict me. And I don't drink tea that often. But I know you're a tea drinker, Meryl. Her favorite version of masala chai is she'd put in a pan, she'd put full milk, cow's milk. Okay, it's not me. I'm a vegan. She wasn't. So full fat milk, and then she'd put chai. She'd put loose chai sometimes in a ball, and then she'd put some cardamom seeds. She'd put lots of sugar, and I guess that's it. She'd bring it to a boil, and she'd keep boiling it, keep mixing it to get the flavors really, really intermixed. Then she'd strain any leaves left and drink this very strong masala chai. When we'd go out, she was so addicted to tea. If it's a certain time, she'd have to have tea twice a day. That she would, if she had to order tea from a store, she'd get 2 bags. Shobha, did you want to add to that? Do you disagree with any of that?
Yeah. So we actually come from a southern part of India, so where they drink more coffee than they drink tea. But coffee again is had with lots of dairy. There's very little coffee per se, and then lots of milk, crema as you call it, and then sugar. But with tea, my mother used to make it with ginger, and then a couple of pods of cardamom and a couple of pods of cloves. And in some parts of India, they also used fennel seeds. Just a couple, just a pinch of fennel seeds. And the chai masala itself is made with all this and black pepper as well. So the chai masala by itself is, I think, a wonderful health drink. So that's how my mother used to make it, with all these spices, and it used to taste really good. And primarily now that we've switched to either soy milk or oat milk to make chai, I typically make it out of the Westlife soy milk. And believe me,
West soy.
West soy. I think they changed their name now to
I didn't know that.
Westlife, and their packaging has changed to a black packaging now. And friends of mine who are ardent, hardcore tea drinkers, I almost did my own double-blinded study kind of thing, and they couldn't tell that I had made it with soy milk because of all these flavorings. The ginger and the cardamom and the cloves and all these spices.
I find the same thing, not with chai, because I don't make that very often. In some of my cooking classes, I show people how to make chai, but my yogurt, I don't think you can tell that it's non-dairy. And I gave you some of my yogurt. I don't know if you're still culturing it.
Yes, I am.
Nice. So your friends, give them some of my yogurt. I don't think they can tell that it's non-dairy.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. My soy yogurt as well. You can't tell. And then we use it to make dishes and other things. So that's how my mother would make her chai, and with all these spices. And one other healthy way of making, having chai, but not if you want to avoid the tea and the caffeine and all these other, and especially the tea bags with that are wrapped in plastic, etc. You can just take warm water or hot water, and then add a pinch of the chai masala to it, and then sip that all through the day, especially in the winter time. And it works out really good. It takes care of your craving for tea, because it has all the right spices, and it doesn't have any of the tea or caffeine or and then you don't have to add milk or sugar or all these other ingredients that are avoidable anyways on a daily basis, especially. So if you want to drink it on a daily basis, this is what I suggest when I do my cooking classes. That's what I suggest to my clients as well as people who take my classes.
Speaking of cooking classes, Shobha is extremely generous. My daughter and I were traveling last winter through Atlanta to actually Carolyn's daughter's wedding. And we made a long drive, and our first stop was Atlanta, and we were looking forward to visiting with Shobha. And she said, we'd love to visit with you, but we're out of town. They left, I think, hours before we arrived, or maybe the day before. And she was so generous. She said, here's how you get into our house. And we loved staying at your house and seeing your kitchens. And she has just off camera, behind where the camera is this beautiful big thing which generates all the best kale I've had in my life. It's a what's it called? Hydroponic. Yeah. So we had such a good time at your house. It was just overnight, but thank you for your generosity.
We should be back again. We should have actually a meet up here and invite everybody. Carolyn and Cody from the snow in Nebraska, especially in the wintertime. We should have a meetup here.
We should. We should. So question from Sandy Miller. She said, I've gotten takeout from Ronnie's World, and I guess that's a restaurant near you. And they used to put some kind of pickle type relish on the side. I'm wondering if this is the same. And you find, yeah, at an Indian grocery store. So pickle, what we have is totally different from a dill pickle. There's no vinegar in it. So I grew up with my mom's pickle. So my mom's pickle has no oil in it. And the way my mom, what she would do is she would boil some, she would often use limes, but also lemons. And sometimes she'd quarter them. And then she'd boil them, especially those lemons, she would quarter them. Limes, I don't think she did. And she would boil it, and then she'd put it in a glass jar, like a mason jar, and she'd put some cumin seeds, maybe some ajwain, a little bit of turmeric, some fresh, some lemon juice itself, salt, and she'd put it in the sun. And we'd leave it on our deck. We'd have all these bottles. I'm sure that was true with you too, Shobha, right? Mm-hmm. And she'd leave it in the sun for a couple months. And it would go browner and browner, and then it would be preserved. So that's the kind of pickle we'd eat. What I showed in my segment was from the Indian grocery store. And it's not the healthiest because it has oil. It has plenty of oil. And so I leave the oil behind, but I like the flavor. So we buy it. I don't use much of it. But remember, we don't cook with oil, and that pickle does have oil. I've never seen an Indian grocery store that has oil-free pickle. Maybe it's...
The lime pickle at the Indian store has the least amount of oil. So the mango pickle at the Indian grocery store has the maximum amount of oil.
Okay, so which one has the least, did you say?
Lime pickle.
Yeah, and I bought some lime pickle actually a couple of weeks ago. So when we buy a jar of those pickles, they last sometimes over a year. We don't use them a lot.
And it goes with your Kitchedi.
That's right. And that's why I put it on the Kitchedi. So I put it on the Kitchedi. And Shobha, tell me, I think I found this out. I always heard it from my mom, Kitcheri, but I think it's Kitchedi. I think it's a D, not an R, right?
It's a Kitchedi, yeah. But there are people who say Kitcheri also, and
that's how I know it. My mom
as well.
Yeah. So whether she pronounced it Kitcheri or I heard it, that's what I know it as. But every other Indian person I've talked to says it's Kitchedi. So
yes. And Kitchedi is made in every state of India, but in a different way, and even with different dals.
That's
in
right.
Bengal, where we live, when I grew up in West Bengal, another state of India, an eastern state of India, where they made Kitchedi with red lentils, orange masoor.
Really?
Yes. Really? And they had potatoes in it.
Wow. Yeah, I thought it was just my mom who put potatoes in it, but that's right. There's so much diversity. India is a very big country. There's like 13 major languages. Like somebody speaking Malayalam won't understand somebody speaking Hindi or Gujarati or Bengali. There's so many languages, Tamil, Telugu. There's so many languages, Punjabi.
15 different languages, 22 different states.
Yeah, so there's a lot of diversity. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, several more questions. Here's Sandy Miller. I think we have you already on the list. And you were asking, have you done a cooking segment on Indian cooking? We should. So certainly Shobha and I can do that. But I think the others have had experience with some Indian dishes. So maybe one day we'll do an Indian cooking show.
Mm-hmm. We should.
Shobha and I have done a bunch of Indian dishes for sure, but in the context of other things.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sandy also says, I've looked up hing. Now, hing is an interesting spice. I talked about it in my segment. The reason that my family would use hing is because my mom didn't use garlic. Mm-hmm. And I suspect Shobha knows more about this than I do, but hing has a strong flavor. It's a very strong flavor. When you use it, use just a pinch, because if you use more, it can spoil your dish. It's just too strong. It's bitter. It gives a strong bitterness. So be very respectful. Use just a small pinch. That's it. And I can't remember, Shobha may remember the many health benefits of hing, but I know it has a number of Ayurvedic medicine talks about hing. Do you remember some of the great health benefits of hing? I don't.
It's used for digestion primarily. It's a very good digestive tool, and it's pretty much added for even things that we make Kitchedi and all of our rasam, sambar, all these and dals. Almost every dish that we make has hing in it. Even when you make the potato filling for the samosa, you add hing in it. So for almost every dish, we add hing, most certainly. And I think it's an Ayurvedic medicine as well.
Yeah, and I think it's even more preponderant among those who don't use garlic.
Yes, that's true. It's actually the gum of a tree.
I didn't know that.
It's collected, and you get it in this dry form as in powder form. In order to maintain it as a powder form, they have to add a few additives so that it doesn't clump up. But the one I have is almost like a paste. I filled it in a jar and kept and labeled it as hing. It smells very strong. It's extremely strong, and it's like a paste. And you sometimes can see a watery film like peanut butter and other things floating on top. And I've used quite a bit of it. Yes, but I used really very tiny pinch of this because
Very
it's
tiny. Yeah. We say the same thing about haldi, about turmeric. But turmeric is much more generous. You can have, a large pinch. But if you put too much turmeric, it does get bitter, but not like hing. So hing, definitely a tiny bit. It can spoil your dish. Turmeric won't spoil your dish. It will just be maybe a little bit bitter and, really brighter than you want it to be. Turmeric's very good for you as well. But but with turmeric, quarter teaspoon, half teaspoon, depending on how much quantity you're making, of course, 1 teaspoon, but probably not much more than that. But hing, just a couple pinches.
Yeah.
But anyhow, Sandy goes on to ask, I looked up hing. It's also called devil's dung. It says to fry in oil to release its flavor. Can I dry fry? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would say, and correct me if you feel differently, Shobha, but with something like hing that has so much flavor, it doesn't need the tadka. It doesn't need that warming at all.
Yeah, I think so too. I just add it to the dish as I go along. Especially in its powder form, you have to just make sure. This one, what I sometimes do is dissolve it in a little bit of water, or even the water in the dal. Just take a teaspoon of the dal and then dissolve it in that, so that you don't get like a clump of it. And it's very strong in taste. Like you said, it's not a taste that you
not pleasant.
Yeah, pleasant at all. So you would. That's what I do with this hing.
And Meryl reminds us that hing is used to aid digestion and gas. Now I remember that growing up.
Yes,
that
exactly.
if you have gas problems, then hing can help, as well as massaging your intestine area.
Exactly. And then the ajwain that you were talking about too, Dilip.
Great for stomach aches.
Carom seeds. It's great for babies too.
Yeah, my mom used to give me when I was a little kid and I had a stomach ache. Mommy, my tummy is hurting. She'd give me some ajwain with some salt. She'd put it on my hand and I'd lick it. I'd lick the ajwain and salt.
Oh, we would make water out of it, like boil the carom seeds, and then even babies, newborn babies as well, if they're colicky and they're have discomfort from digestion, we would just give them a tiny teaspoon of it and keep that carom seed water. And carom seeds are also used to aid digestion. It's very similar. Fennel, carom seeds, as well as hing. The hing is the strongest of the three. Yeah.
So Sandy's asking, let me show her most recent comment. She's saying we're scaring her. She said, haha, you're scaring me with the spice, but I still want to try it. And you also asked what else can you do with it? So I'm not a big fan of hing. I think the flavor is too strong and you can easily go wrong. Honestly, Sandy, you can give it a pass. I mean, there are health benefits. If you buy it, last you forever. My mom would buy spices in huge quantities and freeze them. When she passed away, we had a freezer full of spices. We gave away as much as we could. Then we took a huge couple bags and left it at the Hindu temple. They were big. They spent a lot of time at the temple, and we just, left it in their kitchen. So she had so many spices, they might still be, whittling their way through it. She was, wherever we lived, she was the center of the Indian community, and people would come to her house for her cooking. She became well known for her cooking. It wasn't a healthful cooking. She used plenty of oil and dairy, but she was a good cook. And I miss, for example, Shobha, there's this dish that I've never seen in an Indian restaurant called kachori, and my mom made excellent kachori. So kachori is like a potato, and she'd make two versions, one with hot chilies, which I wouldn't eat, and just regular potatoes, like mashed potatoes inside like this dough, and she'd fry it. And I was just telling my wife a couple of days ago, let's try to experiment with the air fryer, because my mom's kachoris were great. They were almost always around on the counter for a snack.
Exactly. Yeah. We're going to try it one of these days. As part of my meal service here in Atlanta, we've been trying out all these foods. And Friday we had made Golgappa, pani puri, not deep fried.
Yeah, nice.
Air fried pani puri. It was amazing. We made that pani at home with mint and cilantro and all of that. It was really good.
That's really good. What's pretty fun is my wife doesn't like cooking, but she's she grew up with a different kind of Indian food than I did, and so she does cook a bit. And she was inspired to make some Indian desserts using the air fryer, and she makes really good gulab jamun, for example. Gulab jamun is my mom would put a raisin in the middle. They're like these fried dough balls, and with rose syrup. And my wife makes an air fried one, which is quite good. Wow, lots of great questions are coming in. So, yep, Meryl, we love hing, so keep using it. Hing definitely has health properties. I don't like the flavor, and I give it a pass. But if you want to use it, I put a tiny bit in the kitchedi, but you don't have to.
And it's okay if you don't have any. You can still go ahead and make the kitchedi without it, or any other Indian dish as well without it, and you won't miss it. Absolutely.
Janet says, could you use ground cumin? Yeah, and I didn't speak properly about that. So ground cumin gives you a much stronger flavor profile. It is a different taste. I personally am not used to it in kitchedi. I would prefer the whole cumin, because that's what my mom, how she'd make it, and just the flavor. So if you grind the cumin, it'll be maybe too strong with the cumin flavor. Ground cumin, we usually use ground cumin in most of the dishes we make, except for kitchedi is one counter example.
They can cut it down to Dilip, just to get the flavoring. Just put, like, if it's asking for 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds, put a
quarter. Oh, I thought you meant cut it to get some flavor out.
No, just, I think they're asking because they already have cumin powder at home, but they don't want to go get, cumin seeds.
Right. Yeah, if you already have ground cumin, then just cut, as Shobha said, use much less of it. But I like the texture of the cumin. Yeah, cumin seed also, like, for example, with cucumber, actually either one, cumin seed or ground cumin, works well with cucumber and lemon. I grew up, with salads. My mom never bought salad dressing. We would put lemon juice and salt and maybe a few Indian spices. So I'm not used to salad dressing.
So Dilip, did you use peppercorn as well in your khichdi?
No, I didn't.
We do.
Do you?
Our khichdi is called pongal.
That's right.
It's primarily flavored with ginger, cumin, roasted cumin seeds, and black pepper.
I'm not surprised because black pepper grows more in the south.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it grows in the north, and my parents are from North India.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But our khichdi is only made with these 3 spices, of course, salt to add to it.
No, I would never have thought of adding black pepper. And one reason I wouldn't, I'm not used to it, is because if we put some chilies, like some peppers, then to me, black pepper and hot chili is too much. I think they can, like, do you use both hot chilies and black pepper in your cooking together in one dish?
Sometimes I do, but black pepper and turmeric combination, curcumin.
Yeah, that's helpful. It's very helpful from a health point of view.
Yeah. So it's good to put just a pinch. But this khichdi in the south is always made with cumin seeds and ground up black pepper, or most often they put whole black pepper. Like you bite into it. Peppercorn.
Janet says there's a hot mango pickle on Amazon. So yeah, there's a bunch of brands. There's Mother's Brand. There's Baedeker. There's
Patak.
Patak's a very common one, right?
Yeah, Priya.
Yeah, Priya is relatively, it's a newer brand.
Newer brand, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the Priya lime pickle that has the least amount of oil.
I think that's what I have too. But if you have an Indian grocery store near you, if you're near any city, when my parents came from India, we were in Philadelphia where I was born. Did you know, Shobha, there was not a single Indian restaurant or Indian grocery store in Philadelphia?
Wow.
Here's my mom. She, at that time, especially, anybody who came from India was really well off because the United States only accepted very highly, educated and successful people. So Indian people are no better or worse or smart or dumb than anybody else. We're just the same. We're people. But those who were admitted through immigration were cream of the crop. And so my parents came from they were wealthy in India. They were not wealthy here because India did not want rupees to leave. So at least in the 60s, I don't know what it's like today, they could not leave. They had to leave their money. My mom had servants taking care of her, and she had to learn to cook and became a really good cook. But in Philadelphia, big city, no Indian grocery stores. They sat on a bus to New York City. There were a couple Indian grocery stores there, and they would get spices and come back. So my mom is self-taught.
True.
Yeah, I wish you could have met her, Shobha.
Yeah, I wish so. Even my mom passed away in 2018 of a really bad stroke.
My mom died of a stroke too. It's the diet.
It's the diet. She was also
lifelong vegetarian for your mom too, right?
100% vegetarian. Yep. Never eaten egg in their life, but dairy.
Right. But lots of dairy.
Lots of dairy because coffee, yogurt, these were daily consumption items or dairy items were coffee, tea, and yogurt.
Yeah.
Every day.
Here's a question from Angelita. I saw a documentary that said Oz for Oz. Cardamom is more expensive, or ounce for ounce. Cardamom is more expensive. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't expect that.
What?
Cardamom is more expensive than gold. Is that really true? Because cardamom's not that expensive.
No, I don't think so. No.
Are
Not
you thinking
now where the gold prices have gone up, especially.
You might be thinking of saffron.
Yes.
Saffron, I think that's probably true, but I don't think cardamom.
Saffron and good quality saffron is really expensive. Yeah.
That's right. It is.
Saffron is the stamen of a poppy flower.
And I use, where I use saffron, I haven't made it in a long time. Your Kheer. When I make Kheer, then I put the saffron. Yes. Adds a nice subtle color and nice flavor.
Yes, very true. Yes. I used to have saffron here. Yeah.
You have everything in your kitchen, my friend. Yeah, that's it. And that container of saffron would cost about $20, right?
Yes, exactly. Now it must be more. So it says selected and packed in Spain.
Yeah.
Spanish saffron, yeah.
Let's see. There's a lot more questions. See what else I'm missing.
Yeah, and for my kheer and pudding as well, you can add a few strands of saffron.
Yeah, I like saffron.
I like saffron a lot as well.
Okay, here was a question. Sorry?
I make a mango kulfi and add it to that.
So here's another question from Hyacinth. What can one use instead of cashew? I can't remember what recipe you're referring to. Who used cashew?
Pudding.
Okay, so for you.
Garnish with cashews. You can do almonds, you can do pistachios, or you can leave it out as well.
My mom used to use pistachios.
Yeah, you can add raisins to this.
The nice thing about pistachio, it adds a nice color.
Yeah, pistachio adds a nice color. Yeah, traditionally made with the.
I don't miss my days of not being vegan, but one thing I do miss from not being vegan is pistachio ice cream. And I've had a few vegan pistachio ice creams, but there was something about when we were growing up, probably with lots of artificial colors, the pistachio ice cream that my mom would buy, my family would buy was really good.
Yes, they at the Indian store. You should try this. I think it's called Revolution brand. I think they make a cardamom ice cream and then they make pistachio ice cream too. I don't know if they're still around or not.
Huh.
The girls used to get it when my daughters were home. They used to get it.
Nice.
Revolution brand.
Okay, cool. All right, let's see. I think we are getting near where we can do our giveaways. So if you have any final questions, please post them. We've really enjoyed. I had a bunch of questions, but you guys came up with so many of your own. I didn't have to ask mine. But let me ask a question anyhow. So tell me what one of the things in Indian cooking, and this isn't an Indian cooking show. Actually, let's go back to the theme of the show, which is grandma's favorite dishes.
Yeah.
I want to see what you think about this, Shobha. Is if you look at any culture, Italian, Irish, American as well, Native American, and Indian as well, there is a lot of wisdom in the way our ancestors cooked their food, and ultimately they survived over the millennia doing this. But the way I like to describe it is that now we understand from a health point of view, a lot of their food choices were designed by surviving droughts and famines and things like that, and a lot of the food choices included extra fat because who knows if meal's coming later on. So we have to be able to tease out the good stuff, the Ayurvedic spices, the Native American herbs, all these things from the stuff that got dragged along from the old days just to survive a famine. And so to me, this show is really about that, is taking these traditional dishes and making them modern and saying we know a little bit more about nutrition, and we know we want to avoid animal products and things of that nature, too much salt, so forth. So do you want to share your take on our show on Grandma's Favorite Dishes? That we do hats off to our grandparents and great-grandparents and so forth, that there's a lot of wisdom, but we also know something about nutrition that they didn't, and it's not their fault. It's just because it wasn't known. Do you share some more perspective?
True. And also they probably ate more closer to whole food plant-based than we are. Though in India, due to, several thousands of years of invasions and colonizing, we were reduced to eating more grains and lentils than the vegetables and fruits. So, but I'm sure, we don't even know. There was 1,000 years, 1,200 years of Islamic invasion, and then 250 years of colonial rule. We've lost all our knowledge of who we were before that. Exactly. Really, really true. So,
yeah, and it's interesting in any culture. So I'm sure you're familiar with the Jaipur Literature Festival. So the Jaipur Literature Festival is from my mom's from Rajasthan, and my grandmother's from Jaipur, and so there's this festival that goes around the world called the Jaipur Literature Festival. And there's fabulous speakers who talk about these kinds of issues about colonialism, post-colonialism, and its effect on culture. Exactly. So we could have a whole show on any number of. We could do one on Spanish foods, one on Indian foods, and through a lens of colonization, if we chose to. It's really interesting that a number of dishes we really like in India came from the Portuguese, for example, and foods. Yeah, some of them, not lots, but some, a good number. And peppers.
These were restrained to just that one area, Konkan, Goa area of India. Luckily, I mean, every except the Spanish, all other European colonizers were in India. The Dutch, the French, the Portuguese,
especially the British, especially the British.
Yeah. Well, they fought wars against each other there in our land.
That's right. That's right.
Sure.
All right. So let's go ahead and do a drawing. So I'm going to the first thing we'll draw for is the spice dibba. And I have 5 people in the drawing: Angelita, Janet Doe, Hyacinth, Meryl, and Sandy Miller. So we're going to, what we'll do, let me post here, is if you win, please email your address to Karen at SoManyCooks.com and copy me to Dilip at SoManyCooks.com. Let me post that. So if you win something, let us know I'm here, and let us know where to send your gift to. Don't post your address here. Okay. So I'm going to draw out of these 5. I'm going to use random.org. And by the way, I teach math too. Some of you know that. A couple hours ago, I was doing a Pi Day event with first through, actually even younger than first graders, so pre-K through 3. So happy Pi Day, 314. So, let me draw from 1 to 5. So the winner of this will be, will get the spice dibba. So here goes. The first winner is number 1. So number 1 is, let's see, 1 is Angelita. And that's so good because you were asking about spice dibbas. And I have your address, Angelita. So we'll get that to you.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah, good. So let's draw again, and Angelita only wins at most once. So if we draw 1, we'll pick again. So now we're going to draw for the mason jars because a lot of our grandparents, I remember I lived in a small town, Ohio, and I had a grandma. She was a new immigrant from Sicily, and that's why my mom became a great pizza maker. My mom was known for her Indian cooking, and she was known for her pizza. And I'll tell you a quick story. My parents were immigrants. I've mentioned this a few times. So, yay, Angelita. And so, so my mom, pizza was a new food for them. In India, I don't think anybody knew what pizza was. Now I think all over the world, people do know what it is. My mom would pronounce it pizza, P-I-S-S-A. And that's what I would say. And so I remember one day, it took all the way to high school. I was in high school and I was talking to some friends. What are you having for dinner today? I'm having pizza. What's pizza? And that's when I learned it's pizza. I tried to teach my mom that. So I always thought it was pizza. She made great pizza. It was very, very good. Pizza and dosa are my 2 favorite foods. Dosa is the South Indian crepe with the stuffing. It's excellent.
Yeah.
So good.
I make the best. Come on over.
You make the best? Yeah, you make the best. If you ever visit us, Shobha, I have to tell you something really cool. We have cousins who moved here recently, and they're not of South Indian backgrounds. Dosa is a South Indian food. I grew up not knowing what dosa was. My mom didn't know what dosa was. It was only, I guess, in high school, my mom and my aunt started exploring and said, hey, there's this food called dosa. And we started finding out, and we loved it. So dosa is not a food that North Indians, it's a native food. It's a South Indian food. So anyhow, Shobha, I have these cousins who moved nearby, and they like good food, and they love dosa, and they've perfected it. They bought a heavy-duty grinder, and we were at their house about 2 weeks ago, and that might have been the best dosa I've had in my life. It was fabulous. Their chutney, it was, and I was saying, you guys are not South Indian, but you should be so proud. This is fabulous. So I don't doubt yours is also excellent. But
Yes.
her name is Tina. Tina's dosa was fabulous. Okay, let's do a
Wow.
drawing from mason jars. A lot of traditional dishes were preserved in mason jars. My grandma Sapienza, the new immigrant from Sicily who owned the house I lived in, she would put all these things in jars. I'd go out with when I was like 4 years old and pick rhubarb and stuff. I have many fond memories. So mason jars we thought would be a good thing to give away. So let's do let's draw again. So 1 to 5, I get number 2. It looks like we're going in order. So Janet Doe, you get the mason jar. Let me write this down. So Janet, please let us know that you're here. And I think you've won before, so we have your address. But just to be sure, please email us your address. And please, in your email, say, I won the mason jars, and we'll get them to you. And then finally, the last gift we're giving away is, and you're right, Sandy, dosa is fabulous. If you have any, not North Indian, but South Indian restaurants near you, check it out. South Indian restaurants, correct me if I'm wrong, Shobha, are usually vegetarian and primarily vegan. You just have to ask, please don't put ghee, don't put clarified butter on the food. So yay, Janet's here, so send us your note. So dosa is wonderful. And in spite of my cousin Tina and you, Shobha, I'm sure you make outstanding dosa. Dosa is one food, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that I think going to a dosa specialty restaurant is great because they have these huge tavas, these huge stoves, and they can make really big dosas, which we can't at home. So even if you're good at making dosa, it's still
More than a foot long. Yeah.
That's right. Really nice. So going to a dosa place is really good. So let's do the draw for the magazine. So Vegetarian Resource Group is a great group. It's run by Charles Stoller and Deborah, forgot Deborah's last name. So it's a great magazine, and they I don't think they take commercials, and they kind of tell it like it is. It's plain. It's they do have some color pictures and all, but it's a very nice, tell it like it is, great source of information. They've been promoting veganism since before I was a vegan. I think I met them in Baltimore where I went to college. They now whenever I visit Baltimore, I visit them. And back then they were vegan and I wasn't. I didn't even know about veganism. So they've been promoting veganism much longer than I've even known about veganism. So great resource. So the next winner, which I'll draw in a second, will get their magazine called, it used to be called Vegetarian Journal. Now it's called Vegan Journal. So let's draw for Vegan Journal. The winner is 1, Annalita. So you don't win again. Let's draw again. 1, it's Annalita. You don't win again. It's 4. So 4 is Meryl. Excellent. I know your address, Meryl. So Meryl, we'll get you the VRG journal. I don't think you get it. It's a great journal. I think you will like it. So again, Angelita, just to double check, I think I have your address, but go ahead and drop us a message. And then Janet Doe for the mason jars, and Meryl for the VRG magazine subscription. So let's start to wrap up. If you have any last minute questions, I did want to talk about the next show. The next show is, let's see if I have the graphic. It's, where is the graphic? Yay, Meryl, we'll get it to you. The next show is Holy Trinity Foods. I don't seem to have a graphic here. So the Holy Trinity is, does anybody here know what the Holy Trinity is? Here it is. That's the Holy Trinity. Mm-hmm. Yay, thanks, Sandy. We're glad that you got to see it. So the Holy Trinity is foods that are cooked. It comes from Cajun cooking in the South, and it's a combination of celery, onions, and celery, onions, and bell pepper. And if you include garlic, then you say the Pope is in the house. So it's a Catholic kind of thing. So the Holy Trinity is celery, onions, and bell pepper. And it's related to sofrito, which is a Spanish seasoning, which is similar. So we're going to do a show based on that. And I've asked my wife, I've been doing some exploration of some cool Holy Trinity foods. My wife doesn't like doesn't like celery, but I already made one dish, which was a Holy Trinity dish, and she liked it. So one thing that's really cool is I have this new knife I love. It's huge, and now I can finally chop much better than I was able to chop. So anyhow, the Holy Trinity foods are next. So I hope you'll join us, Shobha, and start thinking about some Holy Trinity foods that you might make. You're in the South, so you've probably been impacted by Holy Trinity in the past, some dishes. And so with that, do you have any final comments, Shobha, about the show?
No, it was wonderful. Try out some of these dishes, and I think Kitchedi is an acquired taste. When I introduced it in my
You think so?
Morehouse, yeah, because when I introduced it in my Morehouse classes, they didn't like it at all. I think it's the mouthfeel and the consistency and the mushy type of food or whatever.
It's like a staple
It's a staple in
Indian food, right?
Babies to older people, everybody loves Kitchedi. You're right. There's not a single person who doesn't like Kitchedi.
When my daughter's 6, she expects Kitchedi.
Yes, absolutely. Mine too. And Kitchedi is made quite often in our homes. At least it's made twice a month, at home. And I've actually switched to brown rice like you have, and then I've also switched to green moong dal.
Nice.
To give it a much more whole food.
Do you agree with me that the brown rice Kitchedi tastes the same?
Yeah, pretty much tastes the same.
I think it does.
But I think people will not, because they like the mushy rice, because they overcook the rice and it becomes really like almost starchy and mushy. So it's different. But I love the brown rice Kitchedi. Just love it.
Yeah. And one thing I think I mentioned in my recipe, and by the way, our recipes were incomplete. Yeah, our recipes were a little incomplete. Cody was late in sending hers, and Janan, of course, has special circumstances. She's stuck, so she was expecting to present, and now I know why her recipe didn't come in. She's usually the one who puts the recipes together, so I kind of cobble them together quickly. But once she's back, I'll ask her to clean it up and add Cody's as well. So I'm sorry.
And I think mine didn't make it either.
Okay, and that's my fault then. So
mine didn't make it either.
Yeah, so I'll make sure that we get Shobha's recipe in as well. And by the way, I really enjoyed watching your segment because you use the same pans I do, the Salad Master pans, the saute and the sauce pans. Yes. Those are all pans.
I love my pans.
I did too.
I couldn't find their ears. Their ears are missing.
Yeah, I've lost mine. I was just thinking I need to figure out how to get the replacements. I haven't seen them I haven't seen my ears in years. I don't know where mine have gone. Not these ears, but the handle. Well, thank you everybody for watching. It was delightful. There were some new people, which was great. Angelita, it was good to have you as a viewer, but we'd like to have you back aboard as a presenter again. Angelita is a fellow Food for Life instructor and cook in the kitchen. She's in South Carolina, and she had to step away for a little while because she got really busy. But we're hoping that you'll be back, Angelita. We love working with you. You used to be a regular, so we'd love to have you back as a regular. So we'll see you guys next month for the Holy Trinity foods. Keep your questions coming. You can send any of us if you want to reach Shobha. It's Shobha, Shobha, at SoManyCooks.com. Any of us is our first name at SoManyCooks.com, and you can contact us that way. So be well, keep cooking, and see you guys next time. Bye, Shobha.
Ciao. Bye, and namaste.
Namaste. Bye.
I'm running out of battery too, so.
So many cooks in the kitchen, so many recipes to share. So many cooks in the kitchen with meals for you to prepare. We've got fruits and grains, veggies and beans, more healthy food than you've ever seen. So many cooks in the kitchen, plant-based meals to prepare. So many cooks in the kitchen with ideas we're happy to share.